Hey yay, it's Kay yay, and I hope you, yes you, are having a great day yay. People in the last episode really liked the opener, so I guess it's staying. Thank you so much for letting me know your thoughts on that video. It really gave me the motivation to make this one, and so yeah, thank you so much. Today we are talking about DanDaDan, a really popular anime that came out in fall of 2024, and it's interesting to say the least.
Interesting.
However, I thought personally that it was really good, super well done, beautiful. Honestly, DanDaDan is cinema, and today I'm going to tell you why. Disclaimer, if you haven't seen this show before, what I'm about to say might sound a little weird.
Weird.
Hang in there, buckle up, and enjoy the ride. Before we get started, Alphonse wanted to say hi, so everybody say hi, Alphonse.
Huh?
Be nice to him in the comments. He's very sensitive.
Meow, 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 meow.
Okay, and now we're gonna get started. Episode 1 of DanDaDan opens with one of our main characters, Momo, getting dumped by her boyfriend. She tries to roundhouse kick him, fails, and then goes upstairs to her class to complain to her girlfriends, as girls do. Later that day, she's in a pretty salty mood from being dumped and is walking down the hall. Here she sees some nerd getting bullied in his class, and she's already in a bad mood. She hates seeing this nerd getting bullied, and so she decides to go sit next to him. She's pretty popular actually, and so when she does this scares the bullies away, and it's just her and him. His name is Ken Takakura, by the way. This will be important for later. After the bullies sit down and start minding their own business, Momo gets up and walks away. Mission completed. She starts walking down the hall once again, and Ken follows her this time, saying he knows she only sat next to him because she has a crush. This is not the case, of course, and so they start bickering a little bit. During this argument, it's actually revealed that Momo believes in ghosts but not aliens, and Ken believes in aliens but not ghosts. And they're like, are you serious? Of course my thing is real and your thing is fake. So this motivates them to do a little test of courage. Determined to prove themselves right, they each go on a quest this evening to prove it. Momo goes to an abandoned hospital, and Ken goes to an abandoned alley sewer thing. Small side note, the art style in this anime is so good. It's so beautiful. I'm not sure if it's hand-drawn or not, but it looks hand-drawn, and it is just chef's kiss.
Oh, beautiful.
Beautiful work to whoever edited this anime, because it is stunning. Here, Ken finds a ghost granny, and she's...
I'll let you suckle my teats, boy. If you let me gobble your dong.
sus. And Momo finds aliens that try to reproduce with her. I know what you're saying. You're like, Kaya, you told me this was gonna be good. It is good. There's a little bit of weirdness in it. But if you look past the weird, it is art. And isn't that all art? Weird and then beautiful. Momo's phone rings right as she's about to get... and one of the aliens picks it up. And here, Ghost Granny actually hops through the phone using it as a teleportation device and morphs with Ken and begins fighting the aliens. And I actually just realized something about this that made sense, that did not make sense to me the first 2 times I watched it. And I'll get into that in a little bit. Ken, while morphed with Turbo Granny, is desperate to save Momo. He goes on a monologue about her being his first friend, even though they just met, and he would really do anything to save her. But he's kind of losing this fight. While this is happening, Momo is reliving through a memory of being bullied as a child for practicing her chi with her grandmother, and this actually makes her unlock her own psychic abilities. She roundhouse kicks the aliens, literally, and kicks them through a wall into a fake moon? After this happens, Ken and the Ghost Granny, aka Turbo Granny, are still morphed into one, but Ken is losing control. She projects through him and demands a race in order to get back Ken's wiener. She stole his during the encounter in the sewer before they even came through the phone. I told you it was gonna get weird.
I mean, it's alright.
But bear with me, it's so good, bear with me. Hearing myself say all of this back, really puts into perspective how crazy this show is, but it's anime, so what are you gonna do? Momo and Ken make it out of the spaceship they were on. It was embedded in the hospital and flew away when Momo kicked the aliens. And here she learns Ken's full name. She actually didn't know his name up until now, and his name is Ken Takakura, which is the name of her very favorite actor with whom she has a crush on. She basically forbids him from saying his name in her presence and starts calling him Okuran. Another side note, this anime is a combination of action, supernatural, sci-fi with a touch of romance, and that might be why I like it so much. I love myself a good old school fashion shoujo romance. I eat that stuff for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and a midnight snack. I eat it up so deliberately. It's delicious and it's so good, and this anime has such a beautiful blend of it. And after this first episode is when I believe Momo starts her crush on Ken Takakura. Now we're on to episode 2. The second episode opens with Momo flat out refusing to call Ken Takakura Ken, because again, it's her favorite actor's name and she does not want to associate the two. Momo is technically keeping the spirit inside of Ken at bay with her psychic powers, and so when she hears the name Ken Takakura, she throws herself on the ground and technically loses control a little bit, and the Turbo Granny starts taking over him once again. She slams him into a wall, he returns to normal, and this is when she officially makes a new rule to never say that name in her presence, and she will only refer to him as Okuran going forward. They begin their walk home to Momo's house as the dawn rises.
You're coming home with me.
They banter and talk, and it is so cute. It's so cute. Like I said, I love me some romance anime, and the whole thing is very sweet. They decide they want to take on Turbo Granny in the evening since they won't be able to do it during the day. So they get to Momo's house, and it's a temple. While Momo can walk through the gate, Okuran actually can't, because of the demon spirit inside of him, and he bursts into flames. Momo pushes him into some water to douse the flames, and she realizes that a barrier talisman is up on the temple gates. She takes it down and lets him in. Momo then goes upstairs to change her clothes, and when she's done, she asks Okuran a very important question. Is his baloney pony really gone?
No way, is it really gone? What's it look like? Show me!
What are you, stupid?
He checks, and sure enough, he is as smooth as a Ken doll down there. They bicker a little bit about whose fault this even is, and Okuran says the only reason he took the dare was because he didn't want to miss on the opportunity to make his very first friend. I'll be your friend, Okuran. They have a little heart-to-heart and officially decide that they will be friends. Besides, without Okuran, who will Momo talk to about the paranormal? After this, the doorbell rings, but it's not the normal doorbell that Momo is used to hearing. She recalls her grandma, who's a medium by the way, telling her that there are 2 doorbells installed on the house, one for humans and one for spirits. She's never heard the spirit doorbell until now. She realizes she forgot to replace the talisman that she took down to let Okuran in, and that an evil spirit is ringing the doorbell. They go outside to replace it, but by then it's already too late. They're trapped on the temple grounds. The entire temple is encased in this large concrete box of sorts. The area around them turns black, and a giant spirit descends from the sky. It attacks. The two very narrowly dodge, and they start to panic. They start to run. They try to come up with a plan on what to do when it suddenly demands their banana, meaning genitals. And they realize that this creature is actually an alien because that's what the aliens from the first episode demanded of Momo.
What kind of evil spirit is that? Wait, Banana, do you have another one down there?
No, of course I don't. That's no spirit, that's an alien.
What?
There's no doubt about it. That hood, it's a flatwoods monster.
This makes the kids realize that spirits and aliens are actually more related than they originally thought, because this spirit was clearly sent by the aliens from last night. It starts spitting this black toxic smoke, trying to suffocate them, and Okuran comes up with the idea that he wants Momo to release the curse just enough to take over his body, but not his mind. His goal is to use Turbo Granny's power. Momo is a little reluctant at first, but eventually agrees, and she does it. This causes Okuran to transform into a Ghost Granny Okuran hybrid, and the transformation is so beautiful. It looks so good. The transformation looks so incredible. And then the way the screen turns red, I really, really love the juxtaposition between Momo's powers that are green and Okuran's powers that are red. They did a really beautiful job differentiating the two, and just Chef's kiss, chef's kiss. I don't care. I'm gonna glaze it. I really like this anime. I will glaze it like Krispy Kreme.
Back at it again at Krispy Kreme.
I love this show. When he's in his spirit form, he becomes incredibly blasé. He starts saying things like, yo.
Don't ever say that line again!
And is almost a completely different person. He attacks and it works. However, Okuran quickly switches back to his normal form after taking damage, and they realize that the monster's actually taking a sumo pose. They assume that if they can make its hand touch the ground, that it will consider the fight a loss, just like with real sumo wrestlers. They attack again, this time successfully making its hand touch the ground, and it kind of works. His hand melts away but continues the fight, and he actually hurts Momo in the process. It punches Momo into the concrete wall at the Torii Gate, making a big enough indent that she can now place a talisman on the gate. She uses her power to bring both Okuran and the talisman to her, sticks it on the wall, and then the alien melts away, leaving them victorious. Momo passes out from the effort that the fight took, leaving nothing to hold back the curse from taking over Okuran. And that's the end of the second episode. On to episode 3, baby. Episode 3 begins, and this is where we meet her, everyone's favorite sexy grandma. The show opens with her starring as a fortune teller on TV, where she gets all of her fortunes wrong. She goes home in an Uber and finds Demon Okuran standing over Momo, preparing to devour her. Seiko jumps into action and seals him in a circle, suppressing him in that area, kind of like a barrier, if you will. She hits him hard with the baseball bat, literally beating the demon out of him. The two old ladies start bickering at each other, calling one another old hag, and Seiko takes the demon out. The next scene opens up with Momo waking up in her bed. She goes downstairs to see Seiko just watching TV on the floor casually, and she asks what happened. Seiko informs her that she killed an evil spirit, and this causes Momo to panic. After letting her panic for a bit, Seiko admits that she's just keeping Okuran in a little temple out back, and Momo rushes to go see him. There, she finds him on the floor, eating a rice ball. He's perfectly fine. It's revealed that as long as he's in the temple, the spirit can't take over, and this is where Momo informs Seiko about Okuran's Mr. Johnson and Juice Crew being missing, and the situation about Turbo Granny. Seiko explains to the kids that Turbo Granny is a bound spirit, and what this means is that when a spirit is in their bounded area, they are at the top of their power, and this is important for future episodes. They come up with a plan to race Turbo Granny. This is actually what Turbo Granny wanted to begin with, and they are confident that she will not decline. 1, because it's what she wanted, and 2, because she's so fast, she's confident she will not lose. The plan is to drag Turbo Granny outside of her bounded area and then defeat her when she's weakened. To do this, they each need to train. Momo needs to train her psychic abilities, and Okuran needs to train his ability to go all out with Turbo Granny's powers. Okuran swears to do his best, saying that seeing Momo get hurt in the last battle really scared him, and he wants to do anything he can to protect her. The next day, their training begins, but first, Okuran really needs to pee. Side note, how does he pee with no peeing? Momo starts practicing with her powers, and she's realizing that she's not as strong as she was when she first unlocked them, and so she's kind of training to get that power back. Granny Seiko tells Momo that she relies too much on her eyes for her powers, and that's why she physically needs to see Okuran to suppress the demon. She practices using her powers without needing to see the object, and it works for a little bit, but ultimately she still needs more time. She's not as strong as she was when she first awakened, and so she needs some time to get back to her full power. Okuran is finally able to go to the bathroom, but Momo needs to watch, and when she goes to look at him, Turbo Granny freezes time to speak to Momo and Momo alone, telling her that time is short and that if she does not race her tonight, both Okuran and Granny Seiko will die, and it'll be her fault. And that's the end of episode 3. On to the next one. Episode 4 opens with Momo and Okuran at the tunnel where Okuran got his silly willy stolen. They discuss the plan on what they need to do to get Turbo Granny to lose, and they walk inside. When inside, these two giant heads start closing in on them, and all they can think to do is throw things at them. That doesn't work, but then a voice comes from around the tunnel. Turbo Granny announces that she gave Okuran his pecker back because she doesn't want him to use her own powers against him, the power of speed. Giving his ding-dong back actually made the curse inside of him disappear, again, because she doesn't want him to use the power against her, but it's kind of weird that those two things are correlated, but I digress. I'm just a girl. Momo challenges Granny to a race by taunting her, saying that trapping them there is a cheap trick and that she's afraid she'll lose. The taunt works, and Turbo Granny agrees to a race. Momo says that this will be a simple game of tag, that the kids will get a 10-minute head start, and then Granny has to catch them. She agrees, and then the race begins. They start running, but Turbo Granny cheats, counting down the 10 minutes much faster than she's supposed to. About 30 seconds after the 10-minute timer starts, she begins her chase after them. First, she captures Momo, and then she goes to capture Okuran, but he bites on her titties in order to try to get the curse back.
I'm gonna suckle your teats!
Let go of my boob, you little bastard!
I wish I was joking. I don't know how we got here, but I'm kind of here for it. To be fair, in the first episode, Turbo Granny did say, "Let me gobble that weenie and I'll let you suckle my teats." And so Okuran is just holding up his end of the bargain, isn't he? She swings him up and down, back and forth, trying to shake him off, but he has a better grip on them things than a hungry baby during lunchtime. This works. And Momo, who's stuck inside this weird poop cage thing, can see the powers of Granny inside of Okuran, and she uses her own powers to suppress it. However, there's another spirit in this tunnel, and Granny screams for it to chase them down and catch them. Again, like the juxtaposition between their powers, Momo's being so smooth and ethereal, and Okuran's being rigid and ragged and red. It's so good. It's so good. Chef's kiss.
Oh, beautiful.
The teens sprint, running from this giant crab-looking spirit. Momo has to use the powers to suppress Okuran while he transforms and carries them both to safety. But Momo's a whole nother human, and so when Okuran goes to make this sharp turn, he can't make the turn and launches them off of a bridge. They fall in the middle of town, thinking they've bought themselves some time, but no, the crab spirit is right behind them. Okuran picks up Momo carrying her piggyback style, and they run into a hot spring. Here, Momo uses her own powers to use the hot water to boil the crab alive. Delicious. They think they've won, but they pretty quickly realize that all the people seem to be missing from town. Suddenly, all of the citizens from the surrounding area start chasing them, and Turbo Granny reveals that she contacted the spirits from a cemetery, had them possess the people of the town, making it 1,000 versus 2. Momo tells Okuran to go all out once again, and he does, this time sprinting full speed through town. Momo uses her own powers to grab onto terrain and helping him make turns he wouldn't otherwise be able to make. And they are doing a pretty good job. They're escaping well. They end up scaling a building, and on the descent, Okuran actually turns back. Momo tries to use her powers to pad the fall. Okuran transforms back just long enough to save them, but after that, they are spent. They have no more energy left to use on this fight. What are they gonna do? Momo's so spent that she accidentally ends up releasing Turbo Granny's powers, and it ends up combining with the crab, creating this terrifying seafood demon. Side note, I thought the crab was dead, so I don't know how it came back for this fight, but this is what happened. I don't know. I'm just telling you what happened. Before the monster can get them, Momo uses the last of her powers to grab onto a train that's passing by and flings them on top of it. This is actually all according to her plan, and Turbo Granny is now in their trap. The train leads outside of Turbo Granny's barrier, and as soon as she crosses that threshold outside of town, Turbo Granny explodes. And when this happens, it starts raining souls of deceased young girls, victims of SA and murder. Turns out that Turbo Granny actually wasn't so bad. Her whole purpose was to protect young girls that were getting attacked in any type of way, and she was constructed of the vengeful spirits that had died. Which brings me to my earlier point. Remember when Turbo Granny jumped through the phone to save Momo? I thought that was weird the first 2 times I watched it, but now as I'm making this video, I'm realizing she did that because she realized that Momo was about to be attacked in that way, and her whole MO was protecting girls from that very thing, and so that's why she jumped in action to protect her. Plus, it was also Okuran who also wanted to protect her, so that made sense. And now that I'm thinking about it, that's a really good little little story, little bit of story. I like it. Later at Momo's house, Granny Seiko and Momo fight over crab legs. It's their very favorite meal, but Okuran can't eat. He is traumatized from the crab. Granny Seiko, she wants to see if Okuran really got his Johnson back.
Show me what you got!
Okuran asks to see. When Okuran goes to leave later that evening, instead of saying goodbye, Momo says see you tomorrow, sort of solidifying their new friendship. It's so cute. And that is the end of episode 4. Episode 5 opens with Okuran waiting for Momo outside of the school gates. He really wants to say hi to her before class, but can't find her. And he can't find her because Momo was actually waiting for him too on the other side. It's all very cute. Side note, I actually read somewhere that the makers of the anime had to read 1,000 romance manga to kind of get the romance aspect correct. It was worth it because they did a really good job. It was really cute and it makes me blush. Side note, I have read the manga of this, and let me just say, the difference between the manga and the anime is minimal. It's basically shot for shot. They do a really good job of recreating the manga perfectly. It's so good. It's so good. It's so good. It's such a good show. It's so good. They go inside the school talking about various things, aliens, yokai, etc., until Momo goes to class. After she leaves him, Okuran instantly starts getting bullied again. He's a nerd, remember? After getting into class, Momo's like totally zoned out. She cannot stop thinking about Okuran, and Okuran cannot stop thinking about her. They spend the entirety of the day desperate to speak to one another. After class, during the lunch break, they instantly run to each other's rooms, but they're nowhere to be found. They go to the cafeteria, the library, everywhere looking for each other, but they're just barely missing one another. Defeated, they start walking back to class where they quite literally bump into each other and accidentally kiss. It's so cute. It's so cute. Oh, I f***ed up the lighting doing that. Momo's friends see them kiss and instantly start freaking out. This flusters the two and makes them kind of bicker back and forth a little bit, kind of saying like, why would I kiss a dork like that? Or why would I kiss a girl like her? They each storm off, but they're not really angry and they instantly regret the fight. Okuran goes to the bathroom to pee and to think, and this is where he realized he may have gotten his Johnson back, but he's missing his balls.
Oh no!
He runs to Momo, bursting into her class where her friends are heckling her for dating a nerd, and when he tries to talk to her, she's a little mean and pushes him away. Again, she's embarrassed about what her friends saw and doesn't know how to feel about the emotions she's feeling, about what they saw. The whole thing is very confusing, so she pushes him away. After school, Okuran accidentally bumps into this pink hair pick-me girl. She's super nice about it and flirts with him a little bit. Momo sees this and certainly feels some kind of way. She's definitely jealous. However, when the pink hair pygmy girl walks away, Momo overhears her saying to her friends that she loves making dorks obsess over her and that this is probably the best day of his life and he'll be dreaming about this until he's old. This low-key pisses Momo off and she uses her powers to drop a wash bin on her head. Okuran sees what just happened and is like, oh no, can I help you? And Momo clings to him saying, don't worry about her. Some people deserve it. And honestly, true, queen. On the way home, Momo apologizes to Okuran, saying she's sorry and she's not embarrassed about her friendship with him. Okuran says it's okay, but he needs to tell her something important. He's missing his juice crew. Hearing this, they rush to Granny Seiko and she's literally like, well, this is why I wanted to see. Seiko takes a look inside of his soul and notices something hiding in there. Determined to get it out, she grabs a mirror and a wash basin and gets to work. They stick a talisman on a traditional cat statue thing and slap the back of his head hard, trying to get the demon out. Poor Okuran, he cannot stop getting beat up by women. She tells Momo to grab the demon when she sees Okuran's aura change, and she does just that, yanking it out of him and putting it into the cat. Suddenly, it's sentient. It runs away, and they quickly run after it, finding it very soon. They then discover that it's actually Turbo Granny, using the last of her power to hide inside of Okuran, and now she lives in a cat. Okuran yells at Turbo Granny to give him back his nuts, and she admits that she needs to be kept alive in order to help find the sack. She demands he follows his orders, and this really stresses Okuran out. This makes him transform. How, you say? Well, Seiko explains that whenever she slapped the spirit out, she basically ripped out the consciousness, put it in the cat, while leaving the powers. So Okuran gets to keep his awesome powers, but he still needs his balls back.
Okay.
Momo comes up with a compromise. If Turbo Granny helps Okuran get his Oingo Boingos back, Then Turbo Granny will then get her powers back. She agrees, but admits she lost them. So now the quest is to find his balls. Episode 6 opens with Cat Granny holding a metaphorical golden ball. These golden balls represent Okarun's grapes. She explains that they will be impossible to miss and that people will be after them because they contain valuable life force for ghosts and aliens alike. Which, I mean, life does start in the balls, so that does make a certain amount of sense, don't you think? The next morning, on his way to class, Okarun is stopped by some classmates, asking him to introduce them to Momo, saying she's easy and will get down and dirty with anyone. This pisses Okarun off. He transforms due to the sudden anger and starts basically choking the guy out, demanding to know who started the rumor. He suddenly realizes what he's actually doing and lets the kid go and scrambles back to his desk. He sits down and this is where Cat Granny pops out of his bag, prodding him, saying, "My powers are too strong for you, give them back." And of course he denies.
My power's a bit too much for you to handle. But if you let me in your body again, I can fix everything.
After this, Okarun goes into the hallway where he runs into Momo, and he's a little awkward around her because for the very first time, he's realizing that she's actually really cute. This is something that the boys said earlier when asking for introductions, and he hadn't thought about it before, but now that he's noticing it, he doesn't know what to do. He scrambles away, and Momo goes back to class confused. She confides in her friends, saying that Okarun's acting really weird all of a sudden, and that's when they let her know that he got into a fight over her earlier because someone was spreading a rumor. Now she's even more confused. The next scene opens up with pink hair pygmy girl having an inner monologue, talking about how she's so pretty, but she's not like other pretty girls because she smiles and waves at everyone, even the uggos of the school. She talks about how she knows Momo is a demon, saying that she saw wings sprout from her, aka the green hands she uses to grab things with her psychic powers. And so she started a rumor that she is a slut. So high school. She truly and genuinely feels like she's the chosen one because she's so pretty and she can suddenly see evil incarnates. And so now she set a goal to exorcise Momo. However, the only reason she can suddenly see these evil incarnates is because a golden ball dropped from the sky and fell on her head, choosing her. Little does she know that this golden ball is actually Okarun's testy. Side note, unlike the golden balls that I'm holding right now, Okarun's balls are fist size. Individually, fist size. Mans has got giant swinging golden balls. Good for you, King. We find out that the pink hair pygmy girl's name is actually Ira, and she asked her friends to go grab her some stuff to help her exorcise Momo, including a cross that smells weirdly like oil and some book. During lunch, Momo asks Okarun what his deal is. He's acting weird. Okarun deflects, saying he's worried about Cat Granny and that he's actually thinking maybe a human's picked up his ball and that's why he's having a hard time finding them. Little does he know, he's correct, but he doesn't know that yet. Cat Granny explains that if a human did pick up the balls, then they'd suddenly be able to start seeing spirits, which is exactly what we're seeing exhibited in Ira. However, this would instantly put them in danger because if you can see spirits, that means spirits can see you. Meanwhile, Ira keeps seeing this creepy woman in red. She keeps drawing nearer and nearer. Initially, she assumes she's Momo's familiar or something, and so she decides it's time to act, and she pulls Momo for a chat, Love Island style.
Momo Ayase. I need to have a word with you. Just you and I.
When Momo leaves, Cat Granny sees this and confirms that this is the girl she thinks has the ball, and she's 100% right. Ira leads Momo to this really suspicious looking abandoned warehouse, and when she gets there, Ira's friends instantly tackle Momo to the ground in an attempt to cleanse her. Momo uses her powers to fling the friends off, and that's when Ira hops on top of her, saying something about using the holy powers bestowed upon her to cleanse the world's evil, shoves the ball in her face. Then Okarun shows up screaming, but surprisingly not for Momo, but for Ira, saying she's in danger and that it's coming for her. Very ominous. Right then, the woman in red, who's this tall, creepy, skeletal face woman with very long hair, shows up and scoops up Ira, exclaiming how happy she is to see her, which is weird. The spirit is exclaiming that she's her mother and demands Ira call her mommy. Ira goes on about cleansing this world of the evil and being the chosen one, and all of a sudden, the spirit eats her. So now it's just Momo and Cat Granny, and of course Cat Granny's not gonna help, so now it's just up to Momo to fight her alone.
With my real hands tied,
The woman in red grabs Momo by the neck with her hair and starts slamming her against walls, saying, "Call me mommy," over and over again in a really scary voice.
Go on now, call me mommy. If you do, I'll forgive you.
Momo, of course, refuses, and so she eats her too. However, when she ate Momo, she actually ate some of her hair as well, and so with that, Momo can use the lighter that Ira had, which was the cross that smelled like oil, turned out is actually a lighter, and uses it to light her hair on fire, causing her whole being to go up in flame. While this is happening, Cat Granny hops on screen and says that she is technically a good luck cat, and with her around, there is no such thing as a coincidence. And while this might be a small thing, I really like this detail because plot armor is so prevalent in anime and characters live all the time when they shouldn't. However, with Cat Granny explaining that she's a good luck cat and there's no such thing as a coincidence when she's around, that kind of gives an answer to the plot armor. Things that shouldn't happen or are too big of a coincidence to happen because she's lucky. And I just really love that little bit of story. It just again, chef's kiss. It makes plot armor not plot armor and it makes it a valid point of story, if that makes sense. Does that make sense? I guess what I'm saying is, of course, the main characters aren't going to lose this fight. We're too early in the show and they're the main characters. So having a good luck charm with them to help them win a fight that they probably shouldn't, such a good touch. I love it. And also, it gives them a good reason to keep Cat Granny around. And Cat Granny, though she is technically a bad guy, she's more of a neutral chaotic and she grows on you. So good little touch all around. Episode 7 picks up from a perspective of someone we don't recognize. It's a woman running through a street and she's reaching out for someone. The scene turns back to normal and we realize we're getting a glimpse into the lady in red's past. She's screaming that her child has been taken from her and she's angry. Thanks to the fire that was set at the end of the last episode, Momo and Okurun make it out and start running. Ira's been knocked out, so Okurun's carrying her, and they're running all over the warehouse, getting her hair kind of tangled up. So when she goes to reach for Ira in the final stretch, she actually can't reach because her hair's been tangled up behind her. She's basically caught herself in a trap of her own hair. This works very momentarily, and Momo binds her for a second, but eventually she literally starts ripping out her own hair in order to get to Ira. She wants to eat her. She wants to be connected to her and to be one with her. And they will explain why in just a little bit. Okurun goes all out and headbutts the lady in red at full speed and knocks the spirit out for a little bit. And during this time, Cat Granny rummages through Ira's jacket and she grabs the ball. Success! They got the ball back. All is well. Ding-a-ling and ball down. Just one more to go. However, Ira's actually dead. Like, actually dead. She's dead. She died. She's dead. Turns out that non-supernatural beings would naturally die from an event like this, being eaten by a yokai, and Ira was no exception. The only reason she seemed super was because she had Okurun's ball. Momo rushes to check her pulse, and it's true. She's not breathing. She's gone. She tries to use her ghost hands to pump life back into her, but nothing's working. They don't know what to do. They're just kids. They're panicking. And this is when the lady in red wakes up crying for Ira, saying she wants to be one with her. She wants to give her her soul, and this way they will finally be together. Momo outright refuses, saying, "How do I know you just won't eat her again?" And so the lady in red literally puts her hands inside her mouth and rips her jaw open so that way she can never eat anything again. It is by far the most gruesome scene in the show. I think all of first season. It's wicked to watch. Then the lady explains that Momo needs to use her powers and reach in and link their souls together. Momo goes to do just that, and then the scene changes over again. This next part is pretty sad. It also talks about sewer slide, so if you're not comfortable with that, go ahead and skip to the timestamp below. During this scene change, we get a glimpse into a life of a single mother who's struggling to provide for her one light in life, her daughter, who's this very young girl. She works hard every single day, and one day she saves up enough money to buy her daughter a red dress. The same red dress we actually see her wearing as a ghost. She gives her daughter the dress and she loves it. She wears it every single day, and this little ray of hope is the only thing keeping this woman going through extreme depression. In the next scene, we're shown the little girl crying. She's sobbing for her mother who's been brutally beaten, and the girl gets taken by men that had intruded into her home. I think the viewer is left to think that perhaps the men are debt collectors of some sort, and they had just taken her daughter. The woman wakes up after being beaten and frantically runs through the streets looking for her daughter. That's the same scene we saw at the very beginning of this episode. She looks everywhere, high and low. She can't find her, and now she's got no reason left to live. And this part, I feel like is a little confusing in the anime, but is fully depicted in the manga. This is one thing that differentiates a little bit between the manga and the anime. But the woman, I guess we assume that she's a dancer, and she dances right off of a high-rise building, falling to her death and herself. In the anime, we see a very beautiful dance scene, but it's not clear exactly what happens other than the sound of either like a splat or like a car horn sound. I can't remember what sound was played, but she ended her own life because her one love was taken. In the next scene, we see Momo sobbing. She had just seen what us, the viewer, had just seen, and she fully understands what the woman has gone to. However, it worked. Ira is revived, and next to her, the woman in red is slowly turning into dust. Ira, who also felt the lady's sadness, runs up to her, wrapping her arms around her, giving her a hug, and finally calling her mommy. Ugh, it's so sad. Even right now, thinking about it, recalling it, it makes me sad. It's a really sad episode. And the show, DanDaDan, as a whole, is very lighthearted. And so having a very heavy episode right in the middle of the season seems almost out of place, but not unwelcome. It's just sad. However, I will say, I do really like the way this episode was executed because it was technically filler. You know, the way it was weaved in didn't make it feel like filler. We had main story at the beginning and main story at the end, making it feel relevant. However, we didn't need to know about this woman's life. We didn't really even get that much of a fight scene in this episode. So more or less it was filler, but it made it feel like main story the way it was weaved, and I really appreciate that. But yeah, that's episode 7, and now we're on to episode 8. All right, now that we got the sadness out of the way, episode 8 opens up with the grannies, Momo, Okrun, and Ira slurping down some noodles at Momo's house. Momo apologizes to Ira about the wash bin, and Ira says it's okay. She's not worried about the wash bin, but she will continue hunting Momo and Okrun because she's convinced that they are demons. She talks a little bit about how she's convinced Momo is going to use her demon powers to conquer the world, and this starts a bit of an argument because Momo's like, I am not taking over the world. Ira rushes out, but before she leaves, she turns to Okrun and tells him that she will cleanse him of the demon that is gripping him and save him. She leaves again, and realizing that she's forming a bit of a crush on Okrun. Let the love triangle begin. It's less of a triangle and more like a constellation. When we return from the banger of a theme song by Creepy Nuts. Oh my god, the theme song for DanDaDan is so good. Top 5 anime theme songs in my heart. It is so good. So good. 10 out of 10. We are greeted by Cat Granny trying to return Okrun's ball into his sack by hitting a fastball into his groin. Quite literally. They hit it in their baseball style and success. Okrun successfully has one ball in his testy nest. Later, during lunch, Momo's friends ask why she's not sitting with Okrun, and she says that Okrun is busy and that he's been acting kind of sketchy as of late, like he's been hiding something. Momo gets up to get her friend some juice, and on the way back, she sees Okrun and Ira in a compromising position.
Ew.
Turns out what Okrun was hiding is that he was actually trying to get in shape so that way he could better protect Momo. So sweet. He was behind the building working out in secret when Ira suddenly approached him, confessing her new love for him, and then tries to kiss him. Okrun absolutely swerves her and asks her what she's doing because, well, that was unexpected. She says that they must kiss now. She read it once in a magazine that after confession, the couple must kiss to seal the deal. Okrun asked her where she read this, and turns out she had actually read this in a corn magazine on her dad's desk. Okuran is confused on why she's so romantically awkward considering how popular she is, and they have a small like disagreement of sorts where Ira is like forcing herself on him and he is absolutely swerving her left and right. They end up falling and Okuran lands on top of her, putting them in this compromising position I mentioned earlier, and this is the only part that Momo saw. She completely misunderstands the situation and Okuran scrambles trying to explain to her what actually happened, but Momo's not hearing it and she goes to class angry. In class, Momo is upset, and in Okuran's class, he's depressed because he doesn't want Momo to misunderstand and he feels bad about the whole situation. Right when Okuran is thinking this, suddenly the classroom floods, which is weird. He's on like the 4th floor and all of the students disappear. There's water everywhere and the only kids that remain are 3 main characters thus far: Ira, Momo, and Okuran. All of the kids are split up, but Okuran and Ira find each other pretty quickly, and Momo's on the other side of the school. Momo is trapped in her corner of the school with the literal Loch Ness monster. She gets a chance to hide from it before it starts shooting lasers from its mouth. All she can do right now is hide from Laser Nessie. Back with Okuran and Ira is convinced that this was a trap set by Momo, and Okuran explains that aliens and yokai are real and that they are after their genitals. Sometimes I forget that this is what the show is about, but here we are. Right then, something punches at the two of them hard. Okuran has a chance to transform and save them from whatever it is, and it turns out to be a boxing alien and the banana hunting aliens from earlier in the show. The banana hunting aliens call his specimen exceptional, good for you, King, and use some sort of gravitational force to keep him pinned to the ground. Then they strip his clothes, unveil literal scissor dicks,
Let us proceed
And perform the operation.
We will gently sever your banana.
and try to take his meat sword from him once again. Right when they get him naked and going for the world's worst vasectomy, long pink hair wraps around the alien's face and pulls him back. And it's actually Ira. She had fused with the power of the acrobatic Silky, which is the proper name of the ghost from the last episode, and now she's super, just like Okuran and Momo, but in her own unique way. Episode 9 opens with Okuran flying through the air, nude, and Ira in her acrobatic Silky form kicking alien ass. After defeating the immediate enemies, Ira sees that he's naked and takes this as a sign that he wants to take their relationship to the next level. However, more aliens and a mantis shrimp show up to continue the fight. The aliens see that Ira has powers and they want her banana organs as well. They fight, and during this scuffle, we find out that the mantis shrimp is actually hired labor for the banana aliens. And while this is happening, Okuran is struggling to find anything to preserve his modesty. He cannot find clothes anywhere, and the frames are just barely keeping him from being exposed. The banana aliens use the gravitational power we saw earlier on Ira, and they begin prepping for the harvest. Okuran reappears, still nude, and they capture him too, in the exact same gravitational power, face down, ass up style. He suddenly goes all out, seemingly breaking through the barrier, and he attacks. However, it wasn't Okuran that broke through the barrier, it was actually Momo. She's caught up with the rest of the group. Turns out that Laser Nessie was actually hired by the aliens as well to keep Momo separate from the group so that way they could beat them individually and harvest their banana organs. Then, suddenly, out of nowhere, without warning, the aliens use a crotch proboscis, big word, I know, and inject it into the mantis shrimp and basically roid him up super soldier style. He starts singing businessman,
Businessman, businessman.
and starts firing these air bullets at them. Okuran and Ira are able to fight as long as Momo uses her powers to suppress the alien's psychic energy. And that's what they do. The mantis shrimp ends up losing, and the other aliens tell him that he will receive a 60% pay cut. I don't know, but that's what they said. Then the school floods even more, filling water all the way to the top, and then Laser Nessie shows up once again. The aliens try to tell her that she too will receive a 60% pay cut, but she ends up lasering them, splitting them in half, dealing with those guys instantly. Now just 2 enemies less: Nessie herself and the mantis shrimp. Here's a little fun fact for you. Mantis shrimps in real life are infinitely more powerful underwater than they are above land. And that's the case for the shrimp in the show too. It starts punching at the kids with even more force and they swim away in a panic. At some point during all of this, Ira loses consciousness and floats away under the water. Momo and Okuran argue about how to get her back, but the fight actually ends up devolving into what Momo's genuinely mad about. And that's that she thought she saw Okuran and Ira kissing. When Okuran hears this, he actually is very emotionally mature and says if she has a problem with something, she needs to just say it so that way they can talk about it. He doesn't care if anyone misunderstands except for her. He wants her to know the truth and that they can talk about anything. We love an emotionally mature king. The shrimp reappears and Momo comes up with an idea to get Okuran's powers working underwater. It works and they scoop up Ira and they're able to wake her up. Momo and Ira ultimately decide that they want to take off their clothes as well because it's creating drag in the water. A Gooner made this show 100%. They hop on top of Okuran's back to ride him to escape the Nessie monster and the shrimp. While they're escaping, Nessie is firing laser after laser that they are barely able to dodge. When they finally get a moment to catch their breath, they decide they want to break Nessie's neck. So that way she can't shoot lasers out of her mouth any longer. Upon a closer look, they actually realize that Nessie and the shrimp have merged. So it has the body of the beast, but the strong, fast, punchy arms of the shrimp. Knowing that, Momo uses her powers to break its arms, and Ira uses her powers to choke out Nessie. All that's left is to finish the deal. Okuran jumps on Ira's hair, finally having something to land on, and he is able to go all out. He sprints right into the face of the monster. He sprints and jumps, headbutting straight into the monster's face and kills it. The next scene opens with them in school. The real school, in the real world, in real time, butt-ass naked, soaking wet, and laying on top of each other. The other students see this and exclaim that they are totally boning, and that is the end of episode 9. The next episode opens with this BDSM nurse asking if our trio has been bullied, and that's why they're naked, and she is intense. After whipping the principal, she tells the kids she'll be right back and leaves them in the nurse's office. Our trio starts to talk amongst themselves, discussing Ira's new powers and panicking about the entire school seeing them naked. Ira's friends from before burst into the room, asking her what happened and scoop her away, leaving only Momo and Okuran behind. When Ira leaves, Momo gets the opportunity to ask Okuran what really happens, and he's finally able to tell her the truth. He told her that he was working out because he wanted Momo to think he was cool. They have a moment before Momo's friends burst in and begin their questioning. Her friends turn into these old school New York style detectives and start kind of getting it right, saying it was a fight over a man, and I mean, they're not wrong. I guess even a broken clock is right twice a day. Back in class with Ira, students are swarming her, asking her what happened, saying it was probably Momo's fault that all of this happened, and they start saying nasty stuff about her. Ira actually confesses that she's the one that started the rumors about Momo in the first place, and requests that they don't say anything bad about her, and she gets up and walks away. And I am impressed. Character growth? Never heard of it. Oh my god. This does make me dislike Ira a little less, but they can never make me love her. They can never make me love her. Team Momo forever. Momo finds Ira in the courtyard by coincidence, and she actually asks if she ended up pinning the whole thing on her. Ira initially says yes, but then confesses that she couldn't bring herself to pin the entire thing on her. This kind of starts a camaraderie between the two, and they hate each other just a little less. Right then, the mantis shrimp shows up again, covered in suspicious white liquid, and is terribly hurt. He is in no condition to fight, to be honest. We get a quick flashback of him saying goodbye to his kid that he has to leave for work, and then he wakes up in a bed at Momo's house. Seiko and Momo took the time to bandage him up and give him some food, and when he sees this, he's incredibly grateful. They put him in pajamas, and he starts explaining that his son is very, very sick. He's been taking odd jobs in order to pay for blood transfusions every single day for his son. Okuran offers to help by saying he'll give him his dong, but Momo should sit down quick. The alien says it's time for him to go and that he's incredibly grateful for all the hospitality they've shown him, and he gets up to leave. Right when he does, Granny Seiko is like, dude, you stink. But actually, he kind of smells familiar, and turns out that his blood is actually milk. The same blood that his child needs every single day for transfusions in order to live. Seiko tells him that she'll get him a dairy cow to take home, and that's what she does. She gives him a cow, and he beams it up in his alien ship, and he is on his way, saying, if you ever need any help from me, don't be afraid to call. I'm always around. Back home, the trio beg Granny Seiko for some new uniforms because their old uniforms were ruined in the flood, and Seiko agrees to buy new uniforms for everybody except for Momo. Says she doesn't like her shifty eyes. Seiko says she'll pay for a new uniform under one condition. Momo must act like this actor that says rocket engine valve over and over until Seiko is satisfied, and then and only then will she buy her a uniform. While she's doing this acting, the doorbell rings and Seiko says go answer it. You have to stay in character, and that's what she does. She answers the door and lo and behold, it's Gigi. Gigi is Momo's childhood friend and very first crush. Gigi walks in and it turns out that he'll actually be staying with Momo and Granny Seiko for a while. This makes Okuran feel jealous and emasculated. Gigi is tall, cool, handsome, and athletic. That is, until he opens his mouth because he is a bit of a goofball. Momo freaks out when she learns that Gigi will be staying with them, and Okuran doesn't like it either. Ira decides she wants to leave the house, screaming stuff about beauty and defeating evil, yada yada, typical Ira stuff, and Okuran leaves shortly after. He's visibly upset about the situation, and Momo can tell. She demands he say see you tomorrow instead of goodbye. They have a little blush and then he leaves. Next thing you know, they'll be holding hands, those degenerates. Back inside the house, Gigi, Momo, and Granny are all eating dinner. Seiko explains that Gigi's staying for a while because his parents are in the hospital. Later, when cleaning the dishes with Momo, Gigi confesses that he can actually see ghosts now. He can tell something's not right in his house. One day he started seeing this very ominous ghost, and after that, he hasn't been able to stop seeing it. His parents were getting sicker and sicker, and no exorcist could cleanse this ghost. Now his parents are in the hospital, and he's desperate for Granny Seiko's help. She's the best exorcist in Japan, after all, so they say. Granny Seiko overhears this and said she's not going to help. She can't use her powers outside of the city anyway, and because Gigi can see ghosts now all of a sudden, she bets 10-1 that Okuran's ball has something to do with it, and so she's going to send Momo instead. After another banger ass theme song, we're shown Gigi getting introduced to the school as the new student. Everyone thinks he's so handsome and cute and hot until he opens his mouth.
Name's Jean and Joji. You can call me Gigi.
Because he's a lot, all the time. He claims in front of the class that he is living together with Momo and they are lovers, and this leaves Momo mortified. Meanwhile, Okuran's crashing out because he's hung up on the fact that he's her first crush and they're staying together, and he even worries that she's gonna stop hanging out with him as his first friend. He is so down bad. This motivates Okuran to work out even harder during lunch, and that's where Momo finds him, working out behind the building. She offers to feed him while he gets swole, and Okuran actually accepts. That is, until Gigi shows up. He kind of steals Okuran's thunder and starts joking around with Momo and even bringing her favorite beverage. This makes Okuran sad, and he goes to walk away when suddenly a classroom anatomy dummy, I don't know, starts sprinting towards him saying, "I won't give up." The thing sprints towards them, and Momo goes to stop it with her abilities. However, Gigi does not know what's happening, and he pushes her down in order to save her from collision. The dummy jumps over them, giving them a clear view of the undercarriage, and that's when they see it. He has the ball. Momo grabs onto it with her spirit hands, but the thing is too fast. It picks her up right along with it and drags her along. Okuran transforms in order to keep up with it, and that's when they begin their mad dash through the city. They lose him through the side streets and end up finding him again in the junkyard. When they find him, he's on the floor, and Momo tells him to flip over. She wants to check out that undercarriage and see if he's got the ball. Before he agrees, a woman calls out for him, and this causes him to spring up and start digging through the garbage. This is where he pulls out another lab anatomy dummy. I don't know. Bear with me, please. She tells him that he shouldn't have come, that it'll never work, that their manufacturer dates are too far apart, and that he should go back to school. He refuses, saying his life was nothing before he met her, and this odd scene kind of motivates Okuran to not give up on Momo. Alright, episode 12, last episode of the season. Doesn't it feel like we're at a weird place in the season? Because we're gonna feel even more like that at the end of this episode. The kids brought Hannah, the lady lab dummy, to Momo's house. She says she needs to stay here because she's supernatural, and Seiko ultimately agrees. The male lab dummy went back to school and says he will come and visit Hana during the night. Seiko asks about the ball that the male dummy had, and apparently it was just a golden Christmas ornament, just like what I'm using today. But that doesn't explain why he's suddenly sentient. I guess he was just powered by the power of love? Momo explains to Okuran that she'll be staying the weekend at Gigi's house and asks him to come along for the exorcism. Okuran is pumped that it won't just be the two of them this weekend and fully agrees. So excited to go with. Later that night, Gigi is haunted by the spirit so deeply that he can't sleep. He is terrified. And I actually kind of like this scene because up until now, we've only seen Gigi be silly, happy, goofy. And this scene shows that he truly hides his fear from those that he cares about and that care about him because he doesn't want them to worry. It kind of gives like a little insight to the psyche, and I like that scene a lot. The next morning, Gigi, Okuran, and Momo are on their way to Gigi's house via train. Okuran sees Gigi and Momo joking around, having a good time, and this makes Okuran so jealous. He knows he's being immature, but he just can't fight this feeling. Okuran randomly starts talking about ghosts and aliens to try to grab Momo's attention, and Gigi mentions that there's actually a shrine to a snake spirit in his town. It's pretty creepy, and it is important for later. They make it to Gigi's town, and it's actually a hot springs town near a volcano. They have to climb like 1,000,000 steps to get to the top. At the top, they find Gigi's house, and it's actually a pretty nice place on the outside. Momo can't sense any bad energy coming from inside the house, so they walk inside and make themselves comfortable. When they do, these like old people start lurking on them. They all have this very ominous smile to them. When they get inside, Momo determines that the spirit must be hiding, like when Turbo Granny was hiding inside of Okuran, and so she just decides it's best to wait until nighttime. Momo says she's gonna go relax for a little while in the hot springs and tells the boys to have fun while she's gone. She actually does this so that way Okuran could have some boy time since he doesn't have any male friends, and she didn't want to get in the way, which I think is very sweet. When she leaves, the boys decide to play a friendly game of soccer. While doing so, Gigi asks Okuran if he is in love with Momo. They both end up confessing their love for her in a competitive sort of way, and this starts a rivalry of sorts. So now, instead of a love triangle, it's a love star? Okuran is in love with Momo, Momo is in love with Okuran, but Gigi is in love with Momo, and Ira is in love with Okuran. You follow? Meanwhile, while Momo relaxes in the hot spring, a bunch of creepy old men walk in on her while she's nude in the bath. They approach her, and at the same time, the boys notice there's a false wall in Gigi's home. Gigi grabs a sledgehammer and decides to bust open the wall, and when he does, he finds the most ominous room chock full of talismans to the brim. It's ominous, to say the least. Meanwhile, the men literally pounce on top of Momo, pinning her down under the water. And that's the end of the season. Isn't that such a weird place to stop it? It feels like they didn't want to wait to release the show, so instead of waiting an additional 6 months, they just decided to release what they had and then release the rest later. Because what do you mean that's the end of the season? What a bizarre place to stop. On one hand, I appreciate them not rushing it in order to give us the beautiful animations and the fully fledged out plot, but on the other hand, I'm just like, huh? Luckily, they only made us wait 6 months between seasons instead of a couple of years like most anime. But this definitely feels like season 1 should have been 24 episodes as opposed to 12, because that was not the end of a season. The season just stopped rather than there being an ending. However, I like the show, so I'll give it a pass. But I just thought that was so bizarre. That being said, season 2 did just come out. I just watched the first episode like yesterday, and that's what motivated me to make a season 1 review. I did read the manga, so I know more or less what happens, but I'm still really excited to watch, especially with how accurate they've been with the entire show thus far. Final notes, I like this show a lot. It definitely has some weird, borderline inappropriate moments, especially considering the age of the characters. You can tell some self-insert gooner wrote this, especially with like the abnormal fan service. It's not your typical upskirt, bouncy booby fan service. It's like let's get naked and ride a man's back type of fan service, you know what I mean? But if you look beyond that, the animation is just stunning, the characters are interesting, and the story is unique and fresh. Like I mentioned earlier, the delineation between everyone's powers is so satisfying to see. The green of Momo, the red of Okuran, the pink of Ira. I just love that everyone has their own unique, fresh take on their styles, and it's just a super beautiful show, and I cannot wait to watch season 2. Overall, I give it, I would say an 8 out of 10. I give it an 8 out of 10. Originally, I gave it an 8.2, but as I was making this review, I realized just how weird some of the scenes are. So I'm gonna knock that 0.2 off, but an 8 out of 10, really, really, really solid, beautiful anime. If you can get past a little bit of weirdness, it's so worth the watch. And yeah. Should I do a video on season 2 when it's complete? Do you like this video? What should I make videos on next? I'm thinking of doing some stuff that's not anime, so please, please, please leave your recommendations below, and I will see you later. Thank you so much. Oh, and if you like this video, please make sure to like this video. Now, thank you so much. Bye!